want to thank, but by the way, all of our friends. We all appreciate that, It's correct. Nice to see this easy. I can interact. Look forward to next year. Yeah, doing it this year. Stuck on the Pacific. It's never swinging back. But JB, I enjoyed it this year. A lot of fun, and look forward to next year and to.
And traveling, maybe?
Yeah, traveling, maybe get some interaction with the team and all that, the stuff that makes our job a little bit easier.
I appreciate working with you, Tim. You are the best.
I appreciate that, Jim. It's very nice of you to say. And before we move on, some thank yous. R.C. Davis will be back to wrap it up. I want to thank, by the way, all of our friends over at the Warriors Basketball Academy. They were listening on the speakers over there in Oakland. We want to thank them and remind people that if you have someone who is a hooper in your family, somebody that is trying to improve their game, the Warrior Basketball Academy and the Warrior Basketball Camps are the best way to do that. And there are camps all over the Bay Area coming up this summer, so make sure you go to Warriors.com, get all your information right there about that, about the Warriors Basketball Academy. Thank you, Steve Kerr and his staff, even in these trying times. They were very gracious with their time, very respectful of the job that we had to do, and whenever I needed an interview, I got the interview, and no questions asked, and so I really appreciate that. We want to thank the great PR staff of the Golden State Warriors, led by the incomparable Raymond Ritter, Michael Ravina, who was upstairs and checking with us throughout the course of the season, Brett Winkler, who was down on the floor. We didn't get to see Brett this year, but hopefully we'll get that Wisconsin guy out for a bratwurst, hopefully sometime on the road next year. Meanwhile, Daryl Arata, who does a great job of crunching the numbers, his end-of-season game notes will be in my email inbox by about 4 a.m. this morning. So that's the kind of guy Daryl is to crunch those. Nadine Mazerwa with her job getting all the clippings to us and to make sure that we are well read on the Warriors and the NBA. Kimberly Veal, Anish Patel, we'd like to thank all of our folks at IT. We do a lot with IT because of the type of broadcast we do. We use a lot of sound that I play off my laptop for those of you who have been listening for years, and so we need good computers and we need them to work well for what we need to do. So many thanks to Nestor Panganiban, Gordon Lamb, and Brian Lee for their services and everybody connected with IT to help us keep these machines up and running so we can do our job very well. A lot of friends of Warriors Radio who help us out from time to time. We want to thank Jeff Knepp, Mitch Otto, my old friend from my KTAR days back in the Valley of the Sun when I sat next to Al McCoy watching and helping out with Suns games. Mitch Otto, who of course works with Skyview, our radio contributor, no longer with us, Lawrence Scott. We thank him for his works over the years and teaching me how to use the Lucy app. Thank you, Lawrence, for that. Caleb Homeras, thank you for everything over the years. We miss seeing you around. Andy Fahey, George Capalvo, and Bo Kleppen. Warrior Studio, they were here tonight. They had a GoPro camera to film us doing this game. Cassidy Iwashida, Karen Anglada, Janet Fong, Tom Frenette, Blake Wilberding, all pros in their own right. And if you go to Warriors.com and you see all the work they do, you understand what I mean. 95.7 The Game has been great to work with over the last few years, and they really make us feel like home. Matt Nahichin runs things there, Danny Freisinger, and of course our guys who work, Ryan Mauser, Brian Ratto, Bobby Spang, and we also have the gentleman who was on the board for our weekly show, Craig Carlos Valentino, was on the weekly show, and Craig, I won't be able to talk to you about our friend Steve Holman and the Atlanta Hawks this week. We don't have a show. I also want to thank our radio station, the Warriors Radio Network, and many of these stations have been so loyal over the years. KESP in Modesto, KION down in Santa Cruz, on the boardwalk, KHKA Honolulu. I think we need to have a radio preseason trip there to get them up to speed on the Warriors Radio next year. R.C. Davis, we need to get that done. KKJL down in San Luis Obispo, KNRO way up in Redding, KPAY in Chico, where my brother Kenny lives, KRKC down in Monterey, KSRO in Santa Rosa. We thank them for their fine support. KUNK up in Mendocino, and KWSW in Eureka. We want to thank our announcers who filled in this year and made some history. The first all-female broadcast team in Golden State Warriors history. Choe Agunkwe, was working on the broadcast, along with Kate Scott, Mary Murphy, and Karen Burke. Tanika Smothers handled all the dials on that one. I want to thank our fellow broadcaster, Jim Barnett, of course, Tom Tolbert, my sidekicks this year, Bob Fitzgerald and Kalina Asabuki over on NBC Sports Bay Area. Our radio crew, and it's a great crew. Mike Baird, Mike Krabitschka have been handling all the engineering duties, and let me tell you, to get us on the air this year, they had to completely remake a TV booth into a radio booth, and they did a great job. We always felt safe in here. We always felt like we were getting the job done in a very safe fashion, and the broadcasts were as good as they were if we were courtside. We thank them for that. Marcus Huffman, also, he's our technical director, and like yours truly, only trailed Jim Barnett in length of service in terms of Warriors broadcasting. And Marcus, he sets up not only this broadcast, but every broadcast that emanates from Chase Center. And without Marcus Huffman, who was here for every game, didn't have to be. He could have just, he could have had somebody set something up for him, but he was here for every game because he cares about the product, and he always has. My statistician, Alan Brown, who's been with us for years, I love working with Alan. He's always attentive, always looking to give me something that's not in a game note, something that's not on the wire, something that comes from his research. James Kincaid, what can we say about James? If we need a wrestling correspondent, we've got one. If we need a fellow Casablanca devotee, I've got one. James Kincaid is so much fun to work with, and I know he takes a lot of pressure off of R.C. Davis. Sterling Bennett's been at the controls back at 95.7 the entire year. Great attitude, attentive, pays attention to the broadcast, and he is our Warriors Radio Rookie of the Year. There's no doubt about that. Sterling, thank you so much. Had so much fun working with you this year, and keep that great sense of humor that you have. I want to thank Jeff Chapman down in Austin, Texas, our fellow statistician for years. He was the first statistician I had with Warriors Radio. He provides us with notes with his company down in Texas, and always looking out for Warriors Radio. Thanking Shannon Kaler, who handles all the stuff that I don't understand, which is logs and commercials and timing and everything else. And then finally, R.C. Davis, who keeps us all in check, keeps us all sane. R.C. Davis, the best radio producer in the business. And the final thing I want to say is this, is that one of the great things about the job that I have is that it never feels like work. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to get up, and I'm going to have to check myself at about 9:30 after a cup of coffee, because I'm going to want to go into my office and get the laptop fired up and start crunching down notes and doing some other things, and then I'm going to remember, I don't have a game to get ready for. And it's great to have a job where it never feels like work. What makes it even the best job in the world is that not only do I get to do it for the Golden State Warriors, for Joe Lake and Peter Guber, and the best fan base in the world, because those of you who are veteran Warrior listeners remember back in those dark days, you guys were still with us. You were still following the Warriors. You might have been angry some nights, but it wasn't because you didn't care. It was because you wanted the Warriors to win. You got your reward with a 5-year run, and hopefully we'll have another run for you in the next year or so. So working for you, the fan base, for Joe Lake and Peter Guber, and the final thing that makes my job the best in the world is I get to work with friends. I get to work with people that I care about. I get to work with people that care about me. I get to work with people who just understand, having a good, friendly working atmosphere makes the job go by so much easier. And even when the Warriors have a bad night, even when things aren't going so well or someone's not feeling good, we get through it because we're friends. And again, it just makes the job so damn sweet. The Warriors have lost to the Memphis Grizzlies 117-112, and we get ready for next season. Congratulations to the Grizzlies and all the playoff teams, and I encourage you to watch and listen to as many playoff games, because if it's anything like the play-in tournament concerning the Warriors, the games are going to be fantastic, and I look forward to seeing the NBA crown another champion. I'm Tim Roye saying good night for the Golden State Warriors Radio Network. R.C. Davis will follow this up in just a couple of moments to close up shop, turn off the lights, and lock the door. On the 95.
Goodbye.